So welcome to the Mission 10, T2X Mission Commentary. Thanks for sticking with us. This is the brothel map of Ill Repute. This is a map we talked about for a long time, and for the longest time it didn't have a designer, and we finally got Gon Chong on board with the project. Yeah, probably our most famous fan community designer at the time. And he graciously accepted the mission. Yeah. And Gon Chong came on board about a year into development or so. He was making Willow Island, which was, I believe, like the fourth mission in the series of maps that he made for the Thief community. And he was kind of excited, like he was finishing up Willow Island, and we sold him on T2X and on what we were doing, and he came on board and took the brothel map and just took it and ran with it. Pretty much brought up all of his strengths to the project, and we were really glad to have him on board.
Yeah. It was a real different mission from a lot of the other ones, and clearly his stamp of his personality is all over it. You know, if you've played if you haven't played any of his fan missions, I highly recommend Willow Island especially. But just any of his stuff is great, and it was a real. We felt like that was a real shot in the arm for us to be able to get him for this.
Yeah, I think some of Gon Chong's greatest strengths is really the ability to create little memorable moments. Sometimes that involves you're laughing because you know this mission very well. But no, I mean, sometimes it's gameplay, sometimes it's fictional setups, but he's able to create these really small little individual rooms or nuggets of gameplay that just really stand out in your mind. They're really unlike anything else. A great example of that is like in one of his earlier maps, Shunned. Like halfway through the map, you're in this haunted mansion, and then suddenly the entire place is transformed, and you're teleported to this new place, and like the entire place is in ruins, and there are undead crawling everywhere, and it's just so unexpected that it just really leaves an indelible impression.
Yeah, you never forget.
Yeah,
his missions. I mean,
yeah, and so he was actually a really good choice for this map in that sense, because we needed somebody to really kind of flesh out. Pardon the pun. To kind of flesh out the rooms in here, and just thematically what the brothel is going to look like, and what kind of activities we're going to go on here, and what the scripting was going to be like, and so that seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of flesh, that was one of the controversial things. Not horrible. I mean, not a lot of people didn't get real upset that there was nudity in this, but that was something that I actually don't remember discussing it very much as to whether we would leave it in or not. I mean, it just wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't really an issue for us. We just figure, there's no 6-year-olds playing the game, and
Thief has a mature rating, and we definitely earn it in this fan mission.
Right.
That's kind of what we figured. We didn't have any real censorship criteria to satisfy, as long as we didn't go too overboard. We thought we could get away with whatever we wanted. Yeah. We knew that we wanted to have a brothel map, and there have been other brothel maps done in the fan community before, and some of them were pretty decent, but none of them really felt seedy enough, and that's what we told Gon Chong, that it really needs to be seedy and feel like a real place. Yeah. And he definitely took that direction to heart. So very early on, the Harlot models were some of the earliest ones that we got, and again we were very grateful to get them. Von Eins was the one who modeled them, but because they were very early in development, they were kind of low poly, and I think he was kind of learning still as a character modeler. So it's one of those models again that we might have replaced under ideal circumstances, but we got they worked out okay in the end, and they had a variety of costumes that we liked, and we had the naked harlots that we put in the map.
And Duncan thought they were all attractive, and that was really that
was creepy.
Yeah.
No, we actually we did feel like we needed to have the naked harlots in the map, but we really wanted them to be somewhere where the player couldn't get. We really want them to be out of sight, so we could kind of hint at it and maybe show a glimpse of it, like you'd see in a movie at a distance. And for the most part, I think we stuck to that, except for there's one instance where you find a naked dead hooker on the floor, and that kind of
blew that whole thing.
Yeah, kind of blows that out of the water, But that was the idea, to really to allude to more than we showed, and just to have that available to us.
And Gon Chong definitely did that, not just with nudity, but with the design of some of the rooms. Just kind of sparked the imagination, if you will.
Yeah, we can talk about those as we get to them. There's definitely a lot of creativity involved in this map. Yeah. So The section that we're actually exploring right now is a little bit of an area outside the brothel. I always kind of felt like this suffered a little bit from excess space bloat, kind of some of the things that we talked about earlier. There's just a little bit of excess space here that's a little bit unnecessary. It's not really necessary to explore it in order to win the mission, but it's here if you want to kind of look around and waste time. And the reason that I was kind of opposed to these spaces in missions is because I felt we had so much space in While the City Sleeps and in the Sunnyport map, The Art of Deception, that really we didn't want to tire out the concept of exploring an open city environment, that really the player was going to be spending a lot of time in those two maps running around, and we really wanted to keep things kind of focused when we had a central building map like the hotel or the brothel or what have you. But in the end, I still think it worked out, pretty well. One of the compromises that Gonchong and I came up with was just to make this area non-critical, to leave it as kind of a secret area that it could stay in the map, but that it wasn't on the critical path, so you didn't have to do a lot of extra exploring in order to win the mission or in order to get into the brothel right away.
Yeah, multiple entrances to the brothel. It made it. That was one thing that I don't think was in some of the original builds. He with all this excess space, he ended up, I think, making some more entrances to the brothel than he originally had. There's an upstairs entrance that wasn't there, and so that was also something that kind of, was a little bit of a compromise, I guess, with having all that open area out there. Was you could still get to the brothel pretty much from any point in that. You were never very far away from the main building. At any one point. So
I'm going to interrupt real fast and point out the area where we were just looking through the fence at the edge of the map there, right where I'm looking in that direction. There is actually a little connection to the Cure, which is our next undead map, which is coming up 2 maps down the line. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that's so subtle that nobody will ever probably notice unless they listen to this commentary. But again, just in little ways for the observant players, we were trying to establish that internal consistency where you have part of one map visible from another. And we wanted to do that in the city, not quite as much as in Sunnyport, but in areas where we found it applicable. Mm-hmm. We probably could have done that with the very first mission, because the very first mission is kind of an impoverished area, and that we probably could have had a glimpse of that in this map, but we just never considered it a priority.
Mm-hmm. So this is one of the many ways that you can get around underneath. There's a place here where you can swim to get up into the brothel. And here's the locust bombs.
Yeah, this was one of the last player tools that we designed, and harkening way back to the big body types, the fat nobles that we had, we never really had a way to deal with them, to dispose of them. They were not carryable by the player, and they were just going to sit around and be this kind of gameplay annoyance for the player. So the last power up that we came up with was the locust bomb, and the idea was basically it was this pagan power up, and you throw it on a body and it would dissolve it in this big gory bloody mess. Yeah. And it's not incredibly useful. You use it on the big fat nobles when you knock them out. You need to dispose of the body, but we wanted to make them really fun to use, and I think they kind of are in a disturbing sort of way. They spawn a bunch of bugs and they devour the corpse. But it's thematically appropriate because it's something that Malik might give to Zaya when she's back in the city, and certainly I think players are going to mess around with it.
And there's little things like that where it's hard. Malik isn't on screen really. He hasn't been on screen since
the first mission.
But we try to have her, reference him in some of the cut scenes, and then there's little things like this, like the locust bomb and various things that try to, you kind of, like you say, remind of the pagan origins of, where she's coming from at this point, and just trying to keep the player in mind that Malik is still kind of pulling the strings here behind a lot of what she's doing. Mm-hmm. And she's, he didn't intend for her to discover, I don't think, that Kadar was alive, but it doesn't necessarily hurt his plan.
He just adapts.
He just adapts and seeks some other advantages that he can gain via that, because of that discovery on her part.
So we just passed it, but that was a nice little ice arrow puzzle that Gonchong put down there. Needed 2 ice platforms in order to cross it, but the reward was well worth it. You get some power-ups and some loot. And by this point in time, the player should be well-versed with those tools as movement tools. So
right. And some of these conversations, I think Toolhead worked on some of these, and I know I did some of the guard conversations and things of that nature. And Gonchog had a lot of ideas about some interactions between the hookers and the clientele that was there that we ended up incorporating into conversations and stuff. So it was kind of a good collaborative effort between the plot team and design team, which didn't always happen, but it was real nice when it did.
Yeah, we're actually back to some traditional guards. We haven't had a traditional guard map since what? Mission 2, I think.
2.
Yeah. So this is what we were talking about earlier with a variety of enemies. But
I'm trying to mix it up pace wise, and just so that we weren't seeing the same thing over and over again, and just
yeah. And we have some nice guard voices in this map. They're the standard guard voices that we did, the same ones as in the museum. They're You did a voice, and Lone Star did one of the guard voices, and who was the other guy? New Horizon. He did the other guard voice.
Mm-hmm. I think I did my dome guard voice for
and we pitched it down a little bit to make you sound a little slower.
It's horrible. I'm like the worst voice actor in the world.
No way.
I suck at Thief, and I'm a bad voice actor. But it worked. You do what you have to do. To get through it.
It was great. I think the only thing I didn't like about the guard voices was that in the original Thief, there was like always two serious guards and like one goofy guard, and we ended up having like two goofy guards and one serious guard. But that's just the way it worked out. And again, that was a product of the fact that we didn't have as many voice actors as we needed, really, as many talented guys. So when the guys had to do like a second or third voice, So when the guys that we liked had to do a second or third voice, we had them kind of stretch their voice a little bit more, ham it up a little bit more. But that's perfectly within reason. I think there's plenty of humor in Thief, despite all the kind of darkness and the gloom at times.
Well, and I think, which I mentioned before, went outside of the Thief community to some other people that I knew. Mm-hmm. Like the guy that did Malik has worked in radio some, and there was another girl that does one of the Noble voices. Just her personality, I just thought, hey, she'd be good for that. Had no knowledge of the Thief game franchise or anything like that, but we just wanted as much of a variety as we could get, so we weren't afraid to look wherever we had to try to get some different people in there. Now, did you want to mention the bow upgrade that's up in that window that we just saw there?
Oh yeah, there's a if you haven't read the forums on the Thief community boards ever. There's this kind of long-standing joke about a bow upgrade that's supposed to be somewhere in the Thief games, and it's always like a kind of red herring that we put newbie community members through to get them to spend endless hours looking for it. And I don't know, it's just an old hat joke at this point, but Gonchong thought it would be funny to actually put like a little hidden item that's marked as a bow upgrade in here, and it was a fun little in joke, I think, for anybody who's ever been on the Thief community boards.
And there's guys that have spent, you get these threads.
You still get them, yeah. You
still
get them.
How do you get up into that room? The room with the window
with the bow upgrade.
The bow upgrade.
Yeah.
And of course, we just tell them that there's not actually a bow upgrade there. That's kind of a myth. The bow upgrade is actually in the Alaris extension.
Yeah.
So then they go back to Bone Horde and spend a couple of weeks fighting with that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat, but we have fun with it. But yeah, that's a totally geeky Thief reference. The Thief community is actually, I think, really huge considering the sales of the game. Yeah. I think at any given time, through the Looking Glass, probably has 10 or 12,000 members. And each of the Thief games only really sells about 500,000, so that's a pretty good percentage. And I know we've had many tens of thousands of downloads of T2X, so we've actually hit like a really large part of the market, I think, more than we could have ever really reasonably expected to hit.
Oh, definitely. And I also have to mention too, on this mission, we were talking about this earlier, not when the mics were on, but we were eating earlier. We were talking about the fact that Terry Pratchett, if anybody knows who Terry Pratchett is, author of the Discworld novels and real popular author in Britain, and he was seen on the internet, posting, asking about a particular switch that opened a secret door in this level, and so those of us that were Terry Pratchett fans were pretty
You're pretty flattered.
Pretty flattered, pretty humbled that to know that he, obviously we've known for a while that he was a Thief fan and all of that, but that he actually went to the trouble of downloading T2X to play it. It was definitely, for me, it was just kind of a reward in and of itself for a lot of the work that we put into this. And yeah, this is the sewer the water entrance I was talking about earlier. It's just, again, that's another thing that, we really didn't have to talk to Gonchong at all about was, non-linear gameplay. He's that's just his instinct, from,
to build very well connected maps.
Yeah,
and,
very,
to have many entrances into any given location.
Right.
It worked out well.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this too is that they're not just generic entrances. Pretty much anywhere that you choose to go into the brothel, you're either confronted with an AI or a conversation or Burke poop or
or something.
There's something to make that memorable. He's got a way of really being able to. Like Dave said, just provide those little moments that are memorable. And that's a little bit of a challenge when you don't have a linear map like in traditional first-person games.
Mm-hmm. So to complete the vision of having a kind of den of sin, we wanted a very small little gambling parlor here in the basement for the elite clients. If you're playing on expert, one of the objectives is to get down here and clean out the safe, but this is on hard, so you don't have it. But you can still come down here and check it out and steal a bunch of stuff. It always makes you feel kind of thiefy. Yeah. And I always like these kind of environments because they make you feel like you're seeing part of a secret society that doesn't want to be seen.
Right.
So...
one of the things that I remember in beta testing that that I complained about a lot with this mission particularly, there were so many keys because there were a lot of doors.
Yeah.
You had the key to the gambling hall, the key to Truett's room, the key to the third floor, the key to the bathrooms, the key. It was just key.
Yeah, let's talk
key
about
after
that.
Key.
Yeah,
and it was just too much. It was crazy, and it was really confusing for a while there, and that had to kind of be revamped.
Yeah, it was. I think it was scaled back a little bit, wasn't it? I don't remember.
Yeah, not completely. I mean,
not completely.
This
level
is
still
has more
like
keys than any other.
This
I
is
think
a really
than any
large
mission
key hunt.
ever in the Thief games.
I think this mission and the next mission are really key hunts. I think that's kind of okay because we don't fall back on it too often in T2X. Right. But I think strangely it's become very popular among modern fan missions in the community to put millions of keys in, and I really don't know why. I think there's a certain class of Thief player that just enjoys
the
exploring. The key hunt, like exploring every bizarre like corner and nook in a building and looking for one small little item that'll help them progress it. But I don't know. It's
not realistic. I mean, people don't keep keys,
tucked in dark corners.
Yeah, like in Constantine's mansion, hidden in the camouflage of the rug by the bed. People don't do that.
Yeah, some of the fan missions out there are just ridiculous, and frankly, I just don't find it fun at all to really have to look for like 20 keys in a map. It's just too obsessive compulsive for me or something.
Well, and it's necessary sometimes. I mean, here you've got a situation where it makes sense here. It's a brothel. There, the guards are concerned for the safety of the women for good reason. There's a dead one as we speak, up in one of the rooms, and so there's going to be areas that are locked off, and the keys are not just going to be laying out in the open for anybody to get. But generally speaking, and again, there's multiple ways to get in. You don't have to have a key to get into the brothel. That's something.
You can use any vertical entrance or the water entrance that I used. Or whatever.
So it's not so much that finding the key is an obstacle to going on with the mission. A whole lot of times in this, I mean, toward the end, you've got to get the key to Truett's bedroom and all that. But I think obviously the key hunt is kind of to me, it's just kind of a lazy. Design crutch in a way.
Yeah, I mean, not that we're overly criticizing this mission because this mission really only had a few I think there are some that are out there now that are really just a little bit overboard.
Well, yeah,
the thing that I do like about this map and the keys in this map is that they're all very interesting to find. Like there's the key that I'm about to pick up, I think, in a little bit here. You find out by the burrick that's tied up outside, and the idea being that he ate the key and then like passed it out. And it's kind of gross, but it's one of those great little fictional moments that Gonchang came up with that really makes it a more memorable find than just finding a key in a dark corner somewhere.
Yeah, that's definitely a Gonchang moment.
Yeah, the burrick poop.
The burrick poop.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. As far as I didn't feel like that was one of the reasons that I kind of quit harping on the key thing with this mission, because after playing it a couple times, you realize, the majority of these keys, they're not mission critical. They're, if you want to see this one area, you got to get the key, or if you want to go in that particular door. But there's other ways to do it. So he didn't really rely on keys as a crutch in this one, in the way that I've seen in a lot of fan missions, where just instead of coming up with a more creative way to give the player access, you fall back on that on the Doom thing, where you gotta find the key to open the portal, and that wasn't really the case here. It just the concern was that there was at one point I think 7 or 8 keys in the inventory, and it was a little bit confusing, even for a thief player. It was a little bit much, and but they all had a purpose, and I understood what he was trying to do with it. It was fine in the end.
And we're still good about cleaning up inventory clutter. So whenever you use a key and all the doors that the key goes to are unlocked, then the key disappears from your inventory. So that way it just doesn't take up space anymore, and you don't have to think about it or scroll past it or anything. That tends to work out pretty well. So there we just passed one of the main characters of the map, Madame Volari, and she was the big harlot mama, and we went with kind of the stereotypical image of her. We used one of Von Ein's fat women noble models and skinned it like a harlot, and I like those models that he did. They worked out really well. Those are ones he did I think after he had some experience modeling, and they turned out really well.
Right. This is another mission that I know I worked on some of the backstory for her, and I think Toolhead did a little bit on it, and Gonchang obviously contributed, trying to give her just some different things that were going on with her, some stuff that had been stolen from her, and some stuff that had been stolen from the client rather, and her trying to deal with that. You just want again little moments with your minor characters. This is again Gonchang.
This is the best use of conversation scripting ever in Thief ever. So this is funny. We have a conversation system that allows you to play either voice files or animations in the game on AI, and he used it here. No voice files at all, just pure animations, pure stock animations, using our new models, and he scripted this little sex scene in here through this view lens, and I don't know. Well, it speaks for itself.
I don't think we need to worry about the nude models so much anymore.
Yeah, see, this is, I think, a pretty good use of the nude models, except for maybe right there at the end, because they're far away from the camera and you can't really see. I mean, you can see what's going on, but it's they're kind of some distance away. And then the little roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, see, we were fine with it for a while. And I remember Valletta, when she played this, she's like, it was okay until I saw the toilet paper, and it was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. I don't know.
That's a Gonchang moment.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to call it, man.
Yeah, I wish you were here to help us out here.
I don't know that I really want to know his thought process there. With that. But it definitely, and that was one of the things with I could say with the campaign as a whole. We really didn't want to pull any punches as far as just. The anger of the character, even with the cutscenes. We'll come up on a cutscene here in a little bit that's, some people might say is gratuitous or whatever as far as the violence, but again, we're trying to do something that is a worthy, just a worthy addition to what Looking Glass had already done, and
we wanted to maintain a certain level of intensity and kind of have that contrast between the moments that are humorous and the moments that are really kind of startling or dark, in certain ways.
And we and like I say, we didn't want to pull any punches. If you're going to do a Houseville Repute, then
you might as well do it well.
Yeah, you need to go all the way. No pun intended, and show give it a believability Because again, it's not a game that's for kids or anything like that. But we felt like to really sell the thing, you've got to have some scenes like that. So and Gonchong is the go-to guy for pornographic sex scenes. So that's all I'm trying. That's all I'm trying to say. That's where I'm going with all this. So.
Yeah. But he's, really outstanding at taking a location and making it feel like a real space and putting in all the little touches that are necessary to make that happen. And here we're going to be coming up on another area pretty soon, which will speak to that a little bit more. Let's see if I can find my way through the door here. Here we go. I like this little laundry line with some bloomers and stuff on it. Yeah. Little storage area, and this is all very kind of dirty. It reminds me a little bit of From Hell.
Well, the whole mission just kind of has a greasy feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, and without really using a whole lot of unique art resources or anything, it's just really clever use of what was already there. Yeah. So here we have a guard room and. I think that's locked.
Oh yeah, this is our spy cam.
Yes, and this is the room I was talking about. The guard room is full of all these little spy cams. So here we have again the theme of voyeurism, which not only fits in well with the brothel, but fits in well with the idea of being a thief and of sneaking through undetected in these spaces. Right. And this just makes it more salacious, more prurient.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you don't have to have it for the gameplay, but
it adds to the atmosphere.
It adds some character.
It makes the room have meaning, I think, because otherwise this would just be like a generic guard room, and it's like, well, how can we take a generic guard room and make it more interesting? And Gonchong had the idea of making it kind of like a room where they were able to spy on people, and so that just makes it inherently interesting.
Which begs the question, why is the guard just over there sleeping, instead of...
maybe he tired himself out.
Maybe. We kind of had fun with some of the guard conversations in this too, because this is, especially with some of the missions that we've just been through and some that are coming up, everything was so serious. And, this type of mission just made it possible for us to kind of have some humorous situations and conversations and stuff that we, maybe didn't feel as free to have when, the smugglers and Hammerites were killing each other and all that kind of stuff, so...
Yeah, the vision for the guards was pretty much to have them as big dumb thugs, and so the models were like these big guys wearing these studded leather outfits with big axes and bows and like these huge swords, and they were just thugs pretty much.
Right.
And they were some of the later models that we got.
Now, did we keep I should know this, but if you're not going to turn around there, the poles are still in the middle of the room, right? For
the stripper
pole
poles.
dancing.
Yeah, for the pole dancing.
Right.
I don't know if that was actually ever a part of anything remotely medieval, but what's a brothel without a good stripper pole? So we're going to put it in there, anachronism or no.
Right. Exactly. The guest book up here too, which we're just in that area where the guest book, you can read the guest book. There's again some references in there to some fan mission characters from fan missions and some fan mission designers,
and some of the original missions as well.
Yeah, and some of the original stuff. Some authors, that some of us like and things of that nature. And I think we talked about Terry Pratchett earlier. I know there's a couple places where I snuck in. Some names from the Discworld series and things like that. Because you never know. I mean, if a guest book is 3 pages long, is anybody going to really sit there and read all the names?
Yeah.
So you tend to bury that stuff kind of in the back, just for the diligent player that really.
And if you did, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. If you did, we appreciate it because we actually took time to write all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And part of that, and none of that is really necessary, but part of the reason that we do it is just to make the world feel more alive and consistent. So if you do happen to look through, then your expectations are going to be met.
Yeah. Here's the drunk naked girl playing the piano.
Naked girl playing the piano.
Every guy's fantasy. If you could find a drunk naked girl that plays piano, your life would be complete for a little while anyway. But no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's Valeri's office. This was I don't know if we communicated this quite well enough. This is the office where the harlot madam hangs out and like keeps her books and so forth down here. And this is a little bit circuitous. I think we use a key to get another key.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. This is one of the spots I kept saying, boy, we got to do some lock picks here or something, 'cause
Yeah.
it's just it's a little bit overkill. And of course, again, you're playing these things as they're coming in, so it's the first build, and it's kind of like tasting a meal before it's fully cooked. These guys are still working out things, and I probably drove them nuts because we had this, the bug database that Duncan made for us, where we'd
we haven't talked about our testing process very much, but
you'd log this stuff, and guys would come back and say, "Well, man, I've only done one pass at the mission. Obviously, I'm going to replace this later." But
Yeah, so all professional software projects, like especially games, they all have a database basically where you can track tasks and track bugs and report things and just make sure that everything is reported and that people get a chance to fix it. And we didn't have any professional software available to us, without a license. So Duncan, who is our mission designer who did the Art of Deception mission, was also one of our primary code guys, and he wrote the installer for us, which we haven't talked about, but he wrote all of our installer code. And he also wrote a bug database for us. So we had a web-based bug database where everybody went and could report any bugs or strange things that they found in maps. Right. And then all the designers would be able to go there and see them and fix them. So we had basically a fully functional professional bug database that was done by one of our members, which was just completely invaluable. It was really awesome to have it.
Yeah, and if there's any one thing that I could recommend to teams. Not so much important for people that are just doing individual missions, but for teams that are working over the internet, like some of the guys are in the Thief community right now. Making these mods and stuff. It was invaluable. If there's any one thing you want to stop and take time to create that will help your team communicate and have all your problems collected in one spot, to look at. Mm-hmm. That a database is just, highly recommended.
Yeah, totally invaluable. Especially once you get, about halfway through development, and people really start testing things, and it really becomes useful and relevant to be able to see the kind of bugs that people are finding.
Right.
And especially during our alpha and beta phases, we had hundreds and hundreds of bug reports coming in. I think we had, a couple thousand by the time we were done.
But we could log everything there. If somebody found a plot inconsistency or, bad spelling, it could be logged in this thing. And, it was a great way, too, for me to, go in there and kind of blame other people for things that were probably actually my fault, but I would just delegate, and...
Yeah, it's also a great way to prioritize, because when you do have those kind of bugs, you can, assign them out, or you can, kind of leave them in there and discuss them for a little bit first and post comments, or you can assign tasks to people in a particular order, so that they'll fix certain bugs first. It's just really handy to have for all those reasons.
Yeah, so a lot more organized than just random emails being sent back and forth or a conversation in a chat room that you're going to forget the next day.
Yeah, hardcore scheduling is something that is really hard to finagle on a mod project online, but at the very least, having a bug database is really helpful, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That and just a lot of alcohol the longer the project goes on. Some of these rooms were real shabby. Some of them were, real nice intentionally. Try to think of. Not that I've ever really been in a brothel before, but when you try to imagine, there's different clientele that comes in. They're going to want different things and can afford different things, and so he tried to accommodate all that with the room designs. Mm-hmm. I love these axes, man. Those axes are so brutal. These guys have.
Yeah, one of the interesting.
You got him.
Yeah, I got him. One of the interesting gameplay differences, I think, between the original Thief series and some of the more modern stealth games like Splinter Cell is that the original Thief games were much more adamant about forcing the player to adhere to stealth, because when you play something like Splinter Cell or even like Manhunt or something like that, the game kind of exists on two levels. The first level is the stealth game where it's really fun to sneak around undetected. And then the second level is after you're caught, then you can, essentially pull out your guns and shoot people.
Which you could have done the whole time anyway.
Yeah, which you could have done the whole time
you know?
anyway, really. But the designers really go out of their way to make sure both elements of that game is fun. And in Thief, that's really not the case. In Thief, I think the most fun moments are really the ones where AIs are searching for you, because there was a lot of time and resources that were put into AI search behavior, and also just in sneaking around and exploring these locations. Once you're caught, the game becomes less fun, and there's that slippery slope problem we talked about earlier, where the game becomes more challenging the more you mess up, and that also makes it less casual friendly. So in Thief 2X, when we were designing our tools here, and we put you in a big environment like this with a lot of guards, and made it kind of challenging, we hoped that some of our new tools would alleviate that kind of design flaw, if you will, that Thief has. That maybe when you get caught, now you not only have flash bombs, but you also have ice arrows and different types of tools that you can use in order to thwart the AI and escape. And even in the mission design, we were kind of conscious of giving the player constant escape routes. Like Gonchong was really excellent in this map about placing a lot of open windows and doorways. So if you get caught, it's not just running endlessly. It's like you can jump out a window and elude the guards, and that's cool. And it feels like a very cinematic, like thiefy kind of escape.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And something else we should probably mention. Madame Valeri is briefly mentioned in Thief 2, and it escapes me now where that even is. But you can tell I have such a bad memory. But we found an obscure reference to her in one of the Thief 2 documents, having something to do with this kind of establishment. And we kind of took that and ran with it. Used her as the character for this, but also linking Truart to this place. It was real important for us. Truart's not going to go to a place that's just completely nasty. Of course, when you get up to his room, you see that it's kind of a lush. It's the nicest room in the place. And again, we felt like Truart was a safe character to kind of bring into the expansion, because obviously he's dead. If you haven't played Thief 2, I'm sorry, I just spoiled it for you.
Just
but he's
ruined the whole
he's
game.
dead, and Darth Vader is Luke's father. But he was safe too, because we figured the developers were done with him. Here's our dead naked hooker.
The coin scattered on the ground, and the thing that does it is the rolling pin next to it.
That's the real touch there.
That's another Gonchong moment.
Yeah, another Gonchong moment.
No, it's great. Like all these rooms have themes. You got like the sadomasochism room here. You got the room with the shackles and the handcuffs. You got the more traditional seedy rooms, nasty bathroom, and then we're about to discover a couple other sort of fun rooms that he put in here. I think this is what do I go to next? I think I go to the pagan room next.
Cracks me up that you guys actually went to the trouble to make to model a toilet paper object.
I forget who did that. That was an early object that we got. That was great to have it there, though. Yeah, I mean, another little anachronism, I suppose, even in a fantasy universe. But it's funny because it conveys the idea. And
it makes the bathrooms even nastier, in a way, because you're
a little roll there. Yeah. I guess I should talk about some of our usable objects too. Like we haven't talked about like our doors and safes and so forth. Dramed or Dark, I should say, the engine it's a real pain in the ass to make movable objects, like multi-jointed objects, like AIs especially, but even doors and chests and so forth. They have to be done in 3D Studio Max, and you have to create, from what I remember, these specific planes and name them in a very specific way, and then export them and bring them into the game, and then
hold your tongue just right.
Yeah, and hold your tongue just right, and assign values in the property browser, and make them work. But we were really adamant about wanting new movable objects. We wanted new kinds of doors and safes and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I think there was like probably a 3-month period, I think, where I took all the requests for all the objects that we needed, and we just cranked them out.
Right. And then y'all uploaded basically a little little mission where you could go into these series of rooms and play with and experiment with all the
I
objects
forgot about
and pick
that.
them up and throw them and see if they would break. And that was always a fun thing. You know, it was kind of like Christmas morning when one of these would be uploaded. You know, new stuff to play with, and you go in there. And of course, again, as writers, it gave us ideas. You know, here's an object that we haven't had before. Can we somehow, you know, just spark the imagination of different things we could do.
That's one of the things that you see in professional development all the time, but you don't see in mod development too often. Is the idea of having these test levels where it's just like a gray box, and you can go in and it just showcases like one particular aspect of art or gameplay.
We did that several times.
We did that many times. We had many different test maps. Yeah, we had maps that just basically showed off the new AI models and skins. We had test maps that showed off like specific scripting, and then we had test maps that showed off new art resources as they came online.
Books, you know,
the
books
like
that
the
opened up,
books that opened up, the chests that opened up, the doors, and then the tons and tons of other objects that we made. We had hundreds. I think we had like 500 or 600 new objects in one form or another. They were either reskinned old objects or new objects that were created or jibs that were created. We just had tons and tons and tons of stuff, just massive amounts.
My favorite thing is the desk drawers. You know, that we finally have desk drawers that we can open and get into, because it seemed like, you know, especially in Thief 2, I was really hoping when that came out that would be something you could get into dresser drawers and wardrobes and open, you know, because it seems like as a thief, those are the places you would pilfer.
You want to do. Yeah, you want to rifle through people's drawers,
right?
And
you couldn't really do that, so it was, you know, we at least got the desk drawers in this, which I thought was really
really good.
Nice addition.
Yeah, we have like the opening cabinet and the opening desk drawers, and those were actually not too bad to set up. We were going to have them in Thief 3 too, but they were one of the things that got cut, I think, which is too bad. Yeah. But I was glad to get them in here.
Nice little overview.
Yeah, but those test maps were really pretty essential. And one of the other things I was going to point out is that they facilitate communication, I think, between art and design, because a lot of times designers have no idea what art resources have been created, and, you know, even if they're told verbally or by email or whatever, it's, you know, without actually trying them out in the space, then you don't know how they're going to function and how they're going to work. If you have a test map where you can just let a designer go in and see all the objects, then
they're more likely to use the stuff.
Yeah, they're more likely to use the stuff and remember that it's there, and those maps were really just invaluable, I think, the whole way through.
We talked about Truett a little bit earlier, and you know, of course, in Thief 2, we only get to see his corpse, really, and he's in a couple of cut scenes, but it was nice here to kind of resurrect him for this and have him alive. And, you know, you can't really interact with him because he can't see you, but just to find out a little bit more about him, he's, you know, and of course, again, just like the Hammers, we suspect that he's corrupt. We pretty much know he's corrupt. We hear him conspiring with Karis in the eavesdropping mission in Thief 2, but you know, here we actually get to see him up and around, walking around, and all of that. And, you know, we kind of weren't sure exactly how far to go with that. We knew we wanted to have that tie into Thief 2, and then, you know, of course, tied into the thing with Kadar.
And we had to give the player objectives not to harm him, because we needed him alive so that he could serve his function in Thief 2.
Which was to die in Thief 2.
So
he's going to get killed later.
But we wanted him here. We used him as an important plot vehicle. He was a pretty well developed character, and I think ironically, even though he played probably a more pivotal role in Thief 2, you know, he actually has more of a character, I think, in T2X than he does in Thief 2, because we actually get to see him close up and see see him in the actual mission, not just dead, but actually see him up and walking around and interacting with the environment.
Right. One of the things I was going to mention about the guard that was in that hallway, I don't know, you know, some people may not have caught this, but there's a note downstairs on the porch. It's in an area where you don't really have to go, but it talks about that these two guys have basically put some type of diuretic into this guard's. This guard that's in the hallway that we saw was promoted, and the guys downstairs think that he's gotten a little too big for his britches, as we say in the South, and so they somehow slipped a diuretic or something into his drink, and there's a little, you notice that one of the ways that we allow the player to get into Truett's room here is by having this guy walk around the corner into another area. Well, if you ever go back in there's a bathroom, and the idea is that he's having to run to the bathroom every couple of minutes because he's been slipped this diuretic in his drink. So another nice little thing where kind of a side story was able to actually help the function of the mission and the gameplay. Well, there he is coming out of the bathroom. Yeah, he's having some issues, some bathroom issues. But it just kind of gave us an excuse for a way to get him out of that hallway for a couple minutes if you wanted to ghost the thing, or you didn't want to confront him. You do have an opportunity to slip by him while he's running to the bathroom as a result of what the guys downstairs did to him. So that note's kind of easy to miss sometimes.
So this is a little room that Ganchong did here, and this is very, very nice, very creepy. This is a whole bunch of cradles up here in the attic, and so the idea being, of course, that any unwanted children that the harlots had ended up in one of those little cradles up there.
Yeah. And where are they now? What happened to them?
Yeah, exactly.
They're hidden away. I think the other thing, getting in to see Truett here is for a while I think we had him sleeping, and then he was in the hot tub for a while, and we just couldn't figure out where to what would he be doing. We'd already kind of had a little bit of a gratuitous sex scene, and we didn't want to go that far with him. The prostitute that's in here.
But, we wanted him up and moving around, so he was actually a viable gameplay obstacle. So that you didn't want to be seen by him. You had to avoid him, but we wanted to give him some personality too. So,
and we'd already had Grissom asleep. With the smugglers. It was kind of a cheesy thing to do that again.
And have a major character that was asleep when you were close by, of course.
Too convenient.
We did a couple things to give him personality. The first thing is that we kind of tore up his clothes and gave him no pants, which I don't remember who came up with that. I don't know, it might have been me or Ganchong or something, but we thought it would be funny if he was just walking around, kind of strutting around with a bottle in his hand and by the fire, pantsless. And there's actually a pair of pants on the chair like close by there that we modeled those. That seemed to fit. And then we had Paul Fox do his voice, and it was a very late addition to the map because we always deemed his voice was very low priority because we always wanted our voices to be reusable. We didn't want to do just one character if we could avoid it because it just takes a lot of time and resources to do a single voice, and to only use it in one little room in the game is kind of wasteful. So we lowered it in priority, but it's one of those wish list items that we ended up getting near the end of the game. We thought. We had a few extra cycles when we were testing, and we turned it over to Paul Fox, and he actually recorded a bunch of lines when he was sick with a cold, and so
there's some pretty funny ones that I don't know if we ended up using or not, but he had some pretty
I think we used I think we used most of them. He comments about it being drafty and about being cold and walking around, and I don't know, all this other stuff. But it just sounds great. It's very deep and very menacing but funny at the same time.
I always thought it would be a great name for a band, Sheriff Truett's Pants.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds very indie.
Yeah, it really does. But so basically, she reads the diary here and finds out that Truett was apparently in possession of Kadar at one point, but it freaked him out because Kadar kept whispering the word sire over and over again, which is you heard Kadar in the first mission refer to Zaya by that nickname, kind of they called her when she was a kid. But so he's turned the thing over to the Grand Hotel, which of course means we've got to go.
We have one more place to go. Yeah, one more piece of the puzzle, which is going to the hotel where supposedly he's staying.
Right.
So now this is just the grand escape, getting out of here.
Unscathed, if you can.
If I can.
Now that you've alerted everybody.
Yeah, now I've alerted everybody and been a bad player here. But yeah, again, it's pretty easy to get out of here. There's a lot of connectivity. It's a big balcony that overlooks the main room with the stripper poles, and here I did a death-defying leap again and got down.
I wanted to make it where she could actually climb the stripper poles, but I don't think that ever really happened.
And we wanted to cut to therd person too and have her do a little dance around.
But kind of a Laura Croft moment there, which we decided against.
Yeah. Here I just go hog wild and knock out a bunch of hookers.
Right. Well, it's interesting, when you're testing this and
a little confusion arrow here. Good times.
Yep. It's kind of funny when you're testing this, and I remember one night my wife, was not just real in the loop a lot of times about what was going on with the story, and I always say, I gotta go club some hookers, or I've gotta go, I gotta go spy on some hookers or something like that. And she just didn't even ask questions after a while. It's a T2X thing.
Yeah.
But,
Yours a little mine.
Yeah. These are the two guys that planted the diuretic, actually, I think.
Yeah, there's the guys out front, the very first conversation that you hear, and I ended up murdering them. How sad.